Welcome to Tab Briefs, a weekly look at headlines from the world of faith for May 15, 2020. I'm Tab Media Content Editor Carrie McWhorter, and the top 3 headlines that grabbed our attention this week are optimism about the next stage of church life during the coronavirus pandemic, how Alabama Baptist churches are planning to resume on-campus services, and LifeWay Research examines sermon length preferences in Protestant churches. We start today with the outlook for churches as states begin to ease restrictions. The good news is that church leaders are mostly optimistic about the next stage of church life during the coronavirus pandemic, according to Barna Research. Over the past 7 weeks, Barna has been gathering data on how congregations are faring during this time. This week, Barna reported that overall, pastors are certain their churches will survive the crisis. Nearly all U.S. church leaders surveyed expressed confidence in their church's survival, according to Barna. They found that 3 in 5 pastors believe their people are excited and anxious to return to church, though about half of pastors surveyed said they don't expect to host worship in their usual location until June. Approximately 1/5 of pastors said it could be July or August before their churches physically gather again. Here in Alabama, Governor Kay Ivey's decision to lift attendance limits on public gatherings after May 11th prompted churches to consider their own plans for resuming on-campus services. Many of Alabama's largest churches have yet to announce plans to resume on-campus worship. However, a number of churches have made their plans public, and TAB reviewed several of those plans over this past week. Most, if not all, included measures to keep congregants spaced at the required social distance, that 6-foot social distance we're so familiar with now, as well as procedures for cleaning and sanitizing areas following or between services, and schedules for activities other than worship. What we're seeing is that churches are being very cautious but also creative as they resume on-campus services. Parker Memorial D'Armaville campus in Anniston, for example, plans to meet this Sunday, and the church will designate its fellowship hall as a mask-required space for senior adults and other high-risk members, and it will live stream that service into the space. Crossroads Community Church in Elmore will meet for outdoor services beginning May 31st, weather permitting. But not all churches are ready to gather in person quite yet. Many churches said that they plan to continue their drive-in services a little longer, and most are delaying Sunday school and children's programs, including nurseries, until later in the summer. And at least one church noted that due to 3 deaths in their community from COVID-19 in the past week, the church plans to wait just a little longer before gathering together. Yesterday, U.S. health officials released some guidance for schools, businesses, and other organizations looking to resume operations following the shutdowns of the past couple of months. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, posted 6 one-page, what they call decision tool documents. The tools are for schools, workplaces, camps, childcare centers, mass transit systems, and bars and restaurants. Reportedly, a 7th decision tool, one for churches and other religious facilities, was drafted, but it was not posted yesterday. The CDC did not say why, but officials within the CDC and the White House said there were concerns about the government making specific dictates to places of worship. We'll post links to those documents in today's show notes, or you can find them all at the CDC website. And finally, from LifeWay Research, a study on sermon length found that Protestant pastors often estimate the length of their sermons as shorter than the estimates provided by their members. In 2 separate surveys conducted in September 2019, LifeWay found that most sermons fall between 20 and 40 minutes, according to the pastor's estimates. But churchgoers were half as likely to provide the same estimate on sermon length. LifeWay Research Executive Director Scott McConnell said that estimates are hard to quantify and attributed differences in pastor and churchgoer estimates to different definitions of what elements of a church service are included in the sermon. For example, McConnell said pastors may give announcements, read scripture, and conduct an altar call surrounding the sermon, which may lead some in the congregation to feel as if the message itself is longer. Most churchgoers say their sermon length preference falls between 20 and 40 minutes. Around a quarter say they best like sermons that last 20 to 30 minutes. Another quarter say their preference is a message that lasts from 30 to 40 minutes. But whatever their preference, 55% of churchgoers in this survey say their pastor fits their preferred time frame for sermon length. And if they did prefer a different length, most churchgoers said they wouldn't mind a little bit shorter sermon. Want to read more about this survey? Both reports are available at LifeWayResearch.com. Those are your tab briefs for May 15th, 2020. To read more about these and other stories from the world of faith-based news, go to tabonline.org. And while you're there, check out our podcasts, Tab Talks, Tab News, Tab Briefs, and coming soon, Tab Stories. We're glad you're watching. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again next Friday.